Sahano punattu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We were studying about gaining knowledge versus effacing ignorance. When we have effaced ignorance to the extent that we have done it, to that extent, we will understand things of that level. We will deal with people of that level. We will have a natural connection to whatever level. If I'm at 20%, you're at 20%, we can talk to each other. If you're at 80%, I'm at 20%, you treat me like a child because that is how I will appear to you. So everybody has their level, whatever their level is, and it all works for them from that level. That is this, we came last time to this concept of marrying within your own caste. Because imagine, say, suppose there's a man who loves to study and he's with his books all this time. If he has a Brahminical wife, the wife will say, see, such a smart husband I have, he's studying so much. If he has a Kshatriya wife, what will she say? She will say, oh my God, he's always reading books. Why doesn't he go and do something? If it's a Vaishya wife, what will she think? She will think, this man, he doesn't know how to earn money. With so much knowledge, he can start 2-3 businesses. He's not done that. And what will a Shudra wife say? She won't say anything because she has no reaction to anything. So everybody will see that thing from their particular perspective. And so if you marry, suppose there's a Brahminical man married to a Kshatriya girl or a Vaishya girl, this is not going to work. Or if there is a Vaishya man married to a Brahminical girl, not really going to work. So it's good to marry people who are not like us, but in the same, what they call caste, in the sense the guna levels are the same. Now, this is how it used to be in this country, but then the word caste got so badly mutilated that people took caste as something that you are born into, in the family you're born. And that, of course, threw the whole equation completely out. So each time now, every time we talk of caste, we have to start by saying a Brahmin is a person with 80% sattva, a Kshatriya is a person with 80% rajas, a Vaishya is a person who has equal amounts of tamas and rajas, and a Shudra is a person who has got 80% tamas. Now, these are not real numbers, okay? So, but just giving the idea that the majority of the personality is like that. Otherwise, people get on my case. You don't know that. There's one video on the caste system on the YouTube channel. My God, the way people, I don't think they listen to the video, but the vituperative speech. Which I'm not used to hearing people say such horrible things. But of course, Bharat is very kind. Before I read most of it, he deletes it. So he says, oh, I can't let you read that. Okay, fine. It's that bad. You wouldn't like me to read it. So can you imagine? So it's become a very sore point. But if we remove all the soreness and try to just see the truth, then we begin to see how we can use it in life. I mean, it's a useful thing if we knew how to use it. So, so therefore, suppose a man is reading all the time and his wife, and his wife, who's a Vaishya, says that, why don't you, use your knowledge and start some business and, earn some money. Now, who is right? Who is right amongst these two? Is it correct that he should be reading all the time? Is it correct that she says that he should use his knowledge and start a business? Who is right?
Depends on the circumstances.
They're both right. They're right for them. Nothing.
Individual attitude. Individual nature.
Yeah, individual nature. I mean, there's no, you're not choosing this is better, that is worse. Whatever, if you feel you should do, right, Harry. After a long time, Harry, today. Greece was a big holiday. Paris and, of course, Greece. But, it is not right or wrong. I mean, if somebody thinks that you should start a business, well, more power to him or her. And somebody thinks that they should read books, well, more power to him or her. I mean, all this is, there's no right or wrong in any of this. Somebody wants to start a business, start. Somebody wants to study more, study. It's entirely an individual's choice. So, now, the relationship. So, okay, anybody has a question up to this point, or all this is clear? So, and as far as marriage is concerned, of course, the debate of who is right and who is wrong is futile. The only question is, can these two live together harmoniously? If these two cannot live together harmoniously, then they shouldn't be married to each other. Now, don't please start and say, okay, I can't live with my wife harmoniously. Can I separate? We're not discussing that. We are only discussing that at the point of choice. It's good if you looked at all these things. Yes, Taruna.
And how to identify, means you can find out by reading about yourself. But how about the other person? Means now we are married, we can for our spouses, but people who will get married, how will they find out? Also, if two Brahmins are married, who will run the family? Means you need resources also. So if they both are reading, means these are the practical things about how to solve these things.
Okay, so first question is, before marriage, how do you know? People want to know. In fact, in the West, in America, they go and live with each other for a long period of time, and then they find out. But thinking that they will find out, but that's not the way you find out. It was instinctive. Every one of us instinctively will recognize that. That's the whole point of this paragraph, in fact, that you instinctively recognize people who are in your range. Now, this instinct that you have will be, what shall I say, mutilated when desire rages. But if it doesn't rage, then instinctively you're going to know this. You know who is okay, who's not okay. You know it, right? If you meet other people, you instinctively know who you're going to get along with, who you're not. You gravitate more than choose consciously. You just gravitate towards the people who you can deal with.
So, but the basic prerequisite is that you know yourself first, or it is not mandatory?
No, not even. You don't even need to know yourself. You gravitate.
Okay.
So all ants will be with ants. All sparrows will be with sparrows. They don't know they are an ant, but they will be with the ants. It's instinctive. Until
so
something...
So does that mean we are gravitated to our spouses
Yes.
So is it a right match? Does that mean
No,
we can
depends on how much desire was playing.
desire means I didn't get this.
So you're longing to get married. So
Okay.
if you are longing to get married and somebody is agreeable to marry you, you just marry that person. Because
Okay.
that longing is more than everything else. You're not taking it coolly. You're not saying, okay, I want to get married. So, just take a chill pill and go about it and you'll be fine.
Okay. Right.
But
Got it.
it's like, pre-marriage, everybody is so excited about getting married. Ki pata nahi kya hone wala hai.
Right.
What's going to happen by my getting married? But so much excitement is building up.
Hmm.
So in that mess, we are not able to do it.
Right. Okay. Thank
And
you.
second question was about if two Brahmins are married to each other, who will run the economics of this? When two Brahmins are married to each other, the economics of it won't count for either of them. They're both happy to be poor. You see, they don't look at it like that. That's not their version of things. It's not that they're not capable of earning. It is not that they don't have the wits to be able to earn anything. In fact, they will treat earning like we treat cleaning the kitchen. It's just something that has to be done. It's done as efficiently and quietly as possible. And then you get on with the real stuff.
Or also, in addition, they might be having very less desires. So fulfillment level is also very less in that case. Right.
So for them, it's just like something that has to be done. So
Okay.
what can be done with minimum fuss, they will do. But
Right.
if a Kshatriya person is in this deal, then they are all into competition and doing better than others. And, I never bought this Tesla and, I have to buy it too. So the Kshatriya way of looking at it is very different. I mean, it's not to say that they're wrong. It's just that that's their way. And more power to them, please. If you like all this, please go ahead and do it. Enjoy yourself. The problem with the Kshatriya is not that he likes it. The problem is that he agitates himself over that like. So if you love all the shusha and this, like in northern India, this big fat Indian wedding. When you come to Maharashtra, things are pretty much subdued. And if you go down to Chennai, it's a lot subdued. At least that's my belief. In North, it's like it's going on for days. There's Sangeet, there's this, there's that. Everybody will dress up 2 times a day, not even like once a day, twice a day. And they will eat themselves silly and drink themselves silly and like
dance themselves silly.
All this massive thing is going on. So, so more power to them. Enjoy. It's a ronak hai. The problem is not in all the fun that they do. The problem is when they start quarreling with each other. So have fun, enjoy, have a big, nice, not big fat Indian wedding. Please go ahead and have it if that's what you like. If you like to go to the registrar, sign, and then quietly go home, please do that. Whatever works for you. So when they're of the same thing, then they'll have the same notion. So the Kshatriya girl, she will want like doom down, But this Brahmin boy will say, what are you making so much noise about? So if you're in the same thing, you both will manage. Like 2 Kshatriyas married, they want all the money and they want all the expenses and they want all the everything and they work like that. 2 Brahmins, they want to read books, they want to study. They just need enough to eat and maybe pay the rent or buy a house. So they just do that much and get on with life.
Right. So if you're for coming back, not so much desire driven, you will naturally gravitate to your level of person.
Yeah.
Right.
If nothing is blocking your vision, you will always do things correctly.
Right. Thank you.
That's the point, right? Gaining knowledge versus effacing ignorance.
But ma'am, how is this good for society? Because then you're compounding two Rajasic people or two Tamasic people. They will just exaggerate their deficiencies. So there won't be harmony with two less developed people because they are equally less developed.
Yeah, they will have their natural agitation as their level determines. Yes, correct.
But then that can't be good for society, shouldn't? I mean, like they say, opposites attract, and also the deficiency in one person can be made up by strength in the other.
So how
Normally,
does that help society?
then that makes it more harmonious. For example, like someone is a bread earner and the other person is more sorted or long-term thinking, then that's good for the family and for society as a whole.
Momita, one is a breadwinner and one is sorted. The kind of statements you're making.
Sorry. No, I didn't.
Like all those men who work hard, they're all
No, I didn't mean it.
are all sorted.
No, I meant Rajasic people are better at earning money,
No,
or
they-
Vaishyas.
no. Rajasic people are not better at earning money. Rajasic people want to earn money. Who is good at earning money is a person who can figure things out. A Brahmin will always be better. The Brahmin is not interested in doing this.
Yeah, but then my point is that two equally underdeveloped people how will they make a successful marriage?
They will be very happy fighting with each other. There is a story of the cat and the dog. Now that I've come from France, La Fontaine is very, very famous there. And one of his stories, I don't know if have you read La Fontaine? He's a very interesting author. So he has written this, none of our French friends are here today. Oh, they won for that yoga retreat. So he has written a story about a cat and a dog. Okay, this cat and the dog used to live next to each other and they would fight whole day. And then one day somebody else came, I forgot who, and said and did something to that dog. So the cat was very angry and said, "How dare you behave like this with my dog? I alone can fight with him. You are not allowed to fight with him." Okay. And I assume, I don't know, there's no moral of the story, but this sounds like a perfect marriage. They fight whole day, but nobody else can say anything about that person. So a typical thing. So this is how their relationship will be, and they will find it satisfying.
Also, what if one of them takes to a long time grows? Then, they maybe reach the higher caste and the other person is at a lower caste. Then
the higher caste person will know how to deal with the lower caste person. Why do you all have so many problems with this? So this idea over here is only if you're within your sort of caste. I don't like to use that word because suddenly people come into the class and then they misunderstand what we're talking about. But if you stay within your vasana band, let us call it that, okay, within your guna band, then you will be comfortable. That is why you go to people who are very agitated and tell them, come to class, your agitations will go away. You know what they will say to you? Have you ever tried this stunt? And if you have, tell me what those people said.
some of them attend.
Some of them attend. Okay, you and your friend, I know attend. But go to people and who are agitated, tell them come to class and they will tell you that they
don't need the class.
They don't need the class. They're quite happy.
Yeah. They won't even admit they're agitated.
Correct.
Yes, yes,
They're
you're-
happy.
Yeah.
If you go to a hot-tempered person and say you're so hot-tempered, he will not say I'm hot-tempered. He will say, what nonsense, I'm not at all hot-tempered.
Yeah, yeah. They'll say, you need it. You're the one who needs the class. Something's wrong with you. I'm perfect.
Correct? So those people who are at the lower level have no, they are fine where they are. We want to cure everybody's problems. They don't want a cure. They are happy where they are. It's difficult for us to wrap our heads around this concept that a person is suffering and is happy there. He is just completely okay with it. He or she. You know, I've seen this millions of times. Especially, it's very frustrating because you actually have a cure for them. You have a solution, but nobody will take it. Now, if you understand this, please understand how difficult it is for us to grow. Each one of us thinks we are okay. We compare ourselves to others and believe that I am fine. It's a very, very strange phenomenon. It's even if you know you're highly agitated, you say, yes, yes, I'm very agitated, but on the whole, I'm okay. None of us identifies ourselves as somebody requiring a cure. In fact, I was talking to somebody about the course, and people told me that why will anyone go to the course? They can attend the classes online, so they don't feel any need to go, which is true. Why should they go? The classes are available for them. Why should they go and do a residential program? What does that mean? That means I have not understood that there is work required on my personality. So this is true for all of us. I mean, all of us means us. We must not just think, oh, all these lower people, they are very happy with their unhappiness. No, we are very happy with the unhappiness because we will not prioritize it and say, okay, this is the most important thing I do. Everything else has to be organized around it. Then I am not going to say that. Okay, is that okay, Momita?
Yes, Janki. Thank you.
All right, anybody has anything else? Okay, so let's continue then. Is anybody new today in class? Oh, 1 second, my gosh, there's a question. Many are in therapy as they are seeking equanimity. To what extent are they more self-aware of their own problems? What shall I say, Harry? Because you're in therapy doesn't mean that you are self-aware. A lot of people go into therapy and they merely do, I've forgotten the word for it, but they do some transference. So whatever they are expecting from a spouse or a sibling or a parent or whatever they are, sort of upset about not having, they are expecting that from the counselor. And so this becomes a relationship of continuance of that original problem that they had. I mean, in the sense they don't get rid of that original issue. They've just found another way of fulfillment or expression. And so the counselor becomes what is known as an enabler. And in fact, aggravates the problem. So it doesn't mean everybody who goes into therapy is like that, but that's a very distinct possibility. And exactly the same thing over here as well. Not everybody who's in this classroom is there because they want to improve themselves. There's all sorts of reasons why people, all sorts of reasons. In fact, there was a very nice story from Zen, which I think you must have heard me say many times, that the king visited a Zen master, and he had a massive university where like there were 40,000 students studying. So he said to the Zen master, oh wow, he saw some massive thing, so many people. So he asked, so how many students do you have here? So the Zen master said, about one or two. Among that 40,000 were actually living on campus, maybe one or two. And I would say he's a very lucky man because he had one or two. Look at Christ, 13 disciples, of which one condemned him. It's not easy to find people who want to develop. And all the tools of development are very, very entertaining. If you study Vedanta, it's entertaining. If you do devotional music, bhajans or choir, or whatever devotional stuff you take up, very entertaining. If you take up social work, take up karma, it's very entertaining. The mind loves it and does it. No self-development there. I mean, if you do you know there was some certain research, I can't exactly remember, that the main reason why people go to church, remember it? It is for the social connection.
I'm just going to say that.
Sorry?
Yes, Jankiji, I'm just going to say that it's for the social.
For the social connection. So to find a group of students, like what? See, for the Rishihood course, we have around 15, 20 students to do the 1 month. Just so we must have some proper amount. In our class group, there are 1,000. In the class WhatsApp group, there are 1,000 people. Of those 1,000, 20 have arrived to class today. Can you see the ratios? Our mailing list is 18,000. It's not easy to find people who are dedicated. Now, of the, like, say, I don't know, 70, 80 people who are regular attendees of the class, 20 people to go for a 1 month program, very difficult. So you can see, right, how these numbers crash the moment some serious work is involved. As long as, of course, some people will have their very genuine issues. I'm not talking about them. Like I know some people have a ill parent to take care of and cannot go for a month or whatever. I know many of you have whatever issues you all have. So I'm not talking about that. But everybody amongst all these people, 20 people. And okay, let's say that 20 people arrive at that course. How many will be coming there for the pure purpose of self-development? So it's not only about the counselor. It's across the board. That's the moral of the story. It's not like those who go into counseling or come to Vedanta class or visit a church or temple or mosque. Any of this, there will be hardly 1 or 2% who are the real stuff, completely dedicated to their development. I mean, who have understood that the single most important thing I do in my life is this. And therefore, everything else has to be organized around it. I don't organize this around anything. I mean, as a human being, this is my primary purpose. Such a person who understands this very, very well. Okay? Counseling or Vedanta or religious pursuits or wherever a person may be. Otherwise, if I didn't say this, you would say, oh, I'm looking down on counseling in some way. Not. Just that dedication is not there. Okay. Anybody else has anything? Okay, so isn't it the next page, the relationship between wisdom and information?
I think we finished. We are going to start with the fanatics chapter paragraph.
Is that so? I think we're starting with the
No,
relationship.
I think
We finished with fanatics, ma'am. We start with the fourth line, and this is evident, that paragraph, third or fourth line. But you can
Oh,
start
we didn't
with
finish this paragraph?
no. This is evident in marriage compatibility too. We were on the fourth line, but you can start from the beginning, whatever you decide.
Okay. So this is evident. We just did this, so I'll just quickly run through it. This is evident in marriage compatibility too. People try to match their interests with their spouses. But if the level of desires be different, there will be incompatibility. I hope this portion is clear. Suppose I like badminton, somebody else likes badminton, and we marry each other because we both like badminton. This doesn't work. It is our levels that are to be matched, not our interests. That's why castes were matched in India. It was believed that a Kshatriya boy married to a Brahmin girl would be incompatible. Thus, intercaste marriage was discouraged. A certain proportion of tamas, rajas, sattva would be incompatible with another proportion of tamas, rajas, sattva. The problems with the system started when caste was taken to be a birth phenomenon rather than an internal phenomenon. In the Western world too, royalty were not to marry outside the aristocracy. Imagine the outcome of a Vaishya girl marrying into a Kshatriya family. The Kshatriyas would be lordly and give generously. The Vaishya girl would be business-minded and expect to see something in exchange for all their generosity and giving. And the debate of who is right and who is wrong is futile. The only question is, can these two live together harmoniously? These examples are clear, no? So imagine Vaishya girl, a business-minded person marrying into a chivalrous kind of family. So what does Kshatriya do? He's very chivalrous. I mean, he has a very strong sense of who and his high state. So he's always a giver, right? Because giving is always from the higher to the lower. He's aware that he's higher, so he will always give. And he's very lordly, like Lord of the Manor types. But the Vaishya girl is business-minded. Now, what is business-minded? I do so much for you, then you must do so much for me. If I give you a pearl necklace, then you must give me a pearl. But a Kshatriya doesn't think. The king, you can remove this. When the king is giving, he is not thinking you're going to give him something back. That transactional thing is amongst the Vaishyas. I give you this, you give me. I called you for 2 parties, you should also call me for 2 parties. Better if you call me for 3 parties, then I have a slight profit margin here. So everything is calculated like that. So, but the Kshatriya cannot think like that. I remember my grandfather. He was to the manor born, and he would sit in his chair, and all the others would come, and they were given all sorts of food and drink, and in exchange, obviously, they had to say nice things about him. They had to obviously praise him and say he was like whatever, but he will not go to their house and have all this stuff. That won't happen. It's always they come to his house and they will be served whatever he wants to serve them. So it's a typical Kshatriya characteristic that they are there and you go and sort of pay homage to this. Now, suppose he was married to a Vaishya girl, she would say, what, are you mad or something? Every day they're coming and having food and drinks with you. Why shouldn't they invite us once in a while? He won't understand what he's talking. I mean, I have to go to their house. They won't understand this. So if they do something, then they have to bring him things almost like a homage, or say nice things about him and say he's so generous. I mean, he was a nice person. I think I'm portraying him badly, but the sense of Kshatriyaness in this. You can't mix up the caste. Caste meaning the level of the gunas. Mahesh, but the same caste marrying does not guarantee a happy marriage. Mahesh, there's no such thing as a happy marriage. It just improves the odds. Yes, it improves the odds of being less agitated. But happy marriage, how come you have agreed to this statement? I thought you would call it an oxymoron. Happy marriage, there are happy people. Happy people are happy. Unhappy people are unhappy. They'll be unhappy with the marriage also. They'll be unhappy with their work also. They'll be with everything. If you have the happy people are happy. Okay, so shall we continue? All good? 9 good? All good?
I have a question regarding, so I understand the point that same caste equals better compatibility, and that's why it was instituted in our society. But wasn't it also a thing that a lower caste girl can marry a higher caste boy?
Yes, that will work in a condition where the girl is taught that your husband is the Lord and what he says is correct. So if she's going to treat him with that kind of respect, then it'll work. I mean, it will work to some extent. This is the trouble with Vedantic laws, you see, or even with physics laws or any laws. When we talk of the law, we talk of the law in a vacuum. But when it comes to real life, all these laws function together. And that's what confuses us. I mean, it's a brilliant person who finds what the real law is. Like, for instance, Newton finds out the law of gravity. He, like us, sees things going up, right? He sees smoke goes up. He sees the weather flies up. He's also seeing things going up. Now, in and through everything, he's figured out what is the law of gravity. So that's the brilliance of these people, that in real life, they can find out causal relationships. And then we have to just verify. So in this case, if you find an exception, then it's because other laws are playing. Is that clear?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Otherwise, no law has any exception. But in this case, you now talk of a society where a person of a man can marry a person of a caste lower. I mean, a woman can marry one caste higher. She can do that, but that's given certain certain attitudes that society had.
Yes, it's a certain conditioning that enables that thing to happen.
Yeah, that will make it more acceptable.
Okay, yeah, but it's still not ideal.
It's preferably not. Mahesh, so is marriage created by God, i.e. ordained by the Vedas, or is it a human construct? Mahesh, please. Everything here is a human construct. Nothing but a human construct. Yes, Momita.
I was just listening to to Dr. Jordan Peterson yesterday, and he was talking about this, that all studies in psychology have shown that women choose partners who are either their equals or higher than them socially, and men prefer partners who are equals or lower. So is that like some sort of what Deepraj was talking about just now, the social?
No, this, when they say equal or lower, they're looking at other parameters.
Socially, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, if you want, and it's not really true. There are many women who have married. If you think of somebody like Razia Sultan.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not giving an example of today's, but Razia Sultan. Harry, do you know about Razia Sultan? Have you ever heard of her? Well, she was the queen, and she married a slave, and thereby started the slave dynasty. So can you imagine? I mean, she went against what? Queen marrying a slave. So it is, all these research is only largely true. It is not always true. That's why, if you want the laws, you're better off studying Vedanta. The research is not giving it. The reason it's not giving it is because you're making a rule. There are 8 billion of us on this planet. Even if you say roughly 4 billion each of men and women is roughly. I mean, like, and you test like 1,000 people also. What are 1,000 people going to represent? So these are all largely true, largely, they're really not much use. So Momita, if you really want to know, you can take up the research project, have a large enough sample and find out and let us know also. But as of now, we will have to go with the original, with the commonsensical understanding that you choose your type. Now, if your type happens to be richer than you, all the better. I mean, if you're a woman and your type happens to be richer, then good for you. And if you're a man and you want somebody, you want your type first, and then the richness and all will become secondary. But if the richness and the social level and all that become primary, Taruna, here is how this happens. Your natural instinct will go wrong because you're using some other criteria. Instead of just being natural and gravitating, now you have all these, what Mahesh called constructs in your head. You'll go wrong. You'll be miserable in that marriage. You'll be more miserable in that marriage than you would have been had you found a partner of your level.
Right.
Anyway, this is a very...
One doubt, can I ask? Ma'am, what if two aggressive, competitive, and dominating person come together in that case? Is there the similarity of gunas or what?
No, there is no similarity or non-similarity. You can be a Kshatriya, very dominative, aggressive, or you can be a Vaishya, very dominative, aggressive. If these two get married, they will always dominate over each other. But if they are both Kshatriyas or both Vaishyas, then they will find compatibility in it.
So domination, aggression, and this thing, competitiveness can be in Kshatriya also, in Vaishya also, and in these two basically, not the first and fourth.
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends. So you will know people who are very, like, what are these power couples? What they call power couples. Both the man and the woman are doing very well and blah, blah. right? Some of them work, some of them don't work. Why do some work and some not work? Because this is not the criteria.
Right. Thank you.
This marriage topic is very dangerous. The moment we come onto it, we can't go. In Mahesh, in the US, it's very individualistic. A millionaire marrying a hotel maid or vice versa is not considered unacceptable. Whatever.
It's not that common.
It's not. Yeah, it's definitely not. I mean, it's like being in Mumbai versus being in, I don't know, what is it?
In Julanda or someplace.
In where? In Jumri Talaya.
Julanda, someplace.
Kalandar, okay. All right. So it is, so if you are in Mumbai, people are largely unconcerned what you do. If you're in Jumri Talaya, I suppose everybody is very concerned about what you do. America also, same thing. It depends on where you are. In New York, nobody cares what you do, if I suppose. But if you were in Texas, maybe they would probably be more concerned what people are doing. I mean, you can see, where are the maximum opposition to people living in whatever way they want, where same-sex relationships, where's the maximum opposition? It's the same thing. We make all these, futile differences, Americans and Indians and Ethiopians, difference. The percentages stay just the same. The laws stay just the same. Primarily, we are humans. And all this is all doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make any difference means it's not critical to the discussion. Okay, now let us continue. So the only question is, can they live together harmoniously? We are not taking a judgment call who is good or bad. Can you two live together? That is of interest to you when you're getting married. The rest of the world can keep quiet. You have to know whether you can live with this person or not. The relationship between wisdom and information thus seems inversely proportional. One needs less information for the conclusion to be reached. The relationship between wisdom and information is inversely proportional. What does that mean? That to reach the conclusion, the wiser you are, the less information you require. In Hindi, there's the saying, "Samajhdar ko ishara hi kafi hai." For a sensible person, a mere hint is enough. As the pace of development accelerates, many jobs will become redundant. The specific knowledge we have will require to be replaced by specific knowledge of something else. Not only that, but this replacement may have to occur many times in our lifetimes. Oh, now you see what is the use of Vedanta University? Why we are struggling to put it up. That specific knowledge is not going to help us, because you're going to have to learn and relearn and learn and relearn that constantly. However, the knowledge of the principles will stay the same and can be used across fields with profit. But if you got the principle involved, then across fields that thing will work. Besides, it will also provide the resilience we will desperately need to make such life changes. Just think, this was pre-COVID, but this was so true, right? That when COVID came, how easy was it for us to just make the change that we required to make in that period? And it's not like that's the last change we'll make. We're going to make it over and over again. We don't know what changes will come. I mean, the most irritating change we have all of us to do is every once in a while we have to replace our equipments, like our laptop and our telephone, our cell phone, and learn the old silly thing all over again. So many things. The spellings of words are changing. The grammar is changing. The grammar we learned in school is not the grammar here. Like, for instance, look at this line. Not only that, but this replacement. Where? It's not here. So when we were editing this, they decided to use the Chicago manual. And according to the Chicago manual, before an and, you have to put a comma. That's not how we learned it in school. And yet now this book, before the and, has a comma. Many of you who have learned in the way we have been taught in school will think this is an error. It's not an error. It was specifically edited to follow that rule. So you have to change your language, you have to change your clothes, you have to change your electronic gadgets, you have to change maybe your city, you have to even change what you have been trained to do. Suppose you've been trained to be a lawyer, then now you have to think about how are the laws applicable to IT, which was not there maybe in your time. Or you learned to write a particular language. And now that language means computer language. Now that language is obsolete. Or you learned how to repair cameras. Now there are no more cameras. Or you learned all about how to make a petrol engine car. And then all petrol engine cars have stopped. So can you just imagine, and this is going to happen multiple times in life. Most of you may not know, but Mr. Chandwani, I'm sure will remember. I remember one day in our house, a telephone came. One day in our house, a television came. I was very young, of course, and there was only black and white TV. And then they got 2 channels on the TV. And it was great excitement. Our television is 2 channels. And then there was color TV. Now people don't have a TV in their house. They watch everything on their phones, on their iPads. Can you look from where to where to where to where? Now all those people involved in all those things, they have to learn, they have to unlearn, they have to relearn, and they have to keep repeating this process. Crazy stuff, huh? So what we require is the wisdom more than the information, because it is the wisdom that's going to enable us to do all these things, to quickly move, to change. Say, oh, I eat puri bhaji for meals, and then you're taught, no, puri bhaji, high carbs, all what is this? All oil, fried, very bad for you, very bad. You have to quickly shift. What am I supposed to eat? I'm supposed to eat salad or something, whatever. Every time. One day they'll tell you, salad is very good for you. Next day, then you all eat salad. Then they will tell you, millets are very good for you. Now the whole country has started eating millets. After some time, they'll find something else good for us. Then we will all start eating that. Avocado is very good for you. They're all eating avocado. That avocado is so difficult to buy and it's so difficult to eat because you don't know when on earth this is ripe enough to eat. So each thing is change, and we have to adapt. You can't say, but I always do this. I always do this has no meaning. You can keep doing it. The world has moved. So,
Janki ji, AI going to change everything.
Yes. I mean, not everything, but it will change a lot of things. You know, every step of the way people kept saying everything will change, everything will not change. They have no idea what will change. When the Industrial Revolution came, they said, oh, everybody will lose their jobs. No, everybody has got jobs. Then computers came, said, oh, everybody will lose their jobs. No, people still have their jobs. Now AI has come, everybody's going to lose their jobs. No, they will still have they will still have jobs. There's all this change. And no matter how much things change,
You're
actually
still the
they
same,
remain
more the same.
all the same.
Yes.
You guys know it's so many people out of jobs already because
But
they
But
yes,
some other people have got jobs. Some other people will be doing something to do with AI. They'll be inputting information. Something will happen. They'll have alternate. It's like Y2K also. Remember when they said 2000, everything will come to a standstill. The planes won't be able to fly, the machines, the hospitals, because nobody will know to go into the next century when they said, it was a huge thing, but lots of people going especially to programmers and computer programmers. And then nothing happened. The world didn't come to a standstill. Machine.
things will change. We have to change. We have to change some things, but not all things. So we have to have an intellect to figure all this stuff. Mahesh, in all these revolutions, the poor have always lost their jobs. Nothing to do with rich and poor, Mahesh. Those who are not able to quickly adapt will suffer. Those who quickly adapt will not suffer. So, the development of the intellect, the development of wisdom is what we have to do. Why? Because the knowledge of the principles will stay the same and can be used across fields with profit. You can use the same principles everywhere. Besides, it will also provide the resilience we will desperately need to make such life changes. Else, it will be very difficult to relearn and retrain every decade or so. Those who fail at it will become irrelevant. That's why, you see many old people, they just start saying, oh, I did this, I did that, I did that. I mean, they just relive past challenges and the past what they have done. And they keep repeating that over and over again because now there is nothing for them to apply themselves to. So one easy way of staying young is always have something to apply yourself to. Because then you don't have to keep saying what all challenges you have conquered in the past. Today you are conquering challenges. Those who fail at it will become irrelevant. Imagine a person at 60 having to relearn everything to stay a productive member of his community. And if he manages that, to repeat it again at 70 or 75, and yet again after another decade or so. And the need will arise because of the increased life expectancy. If today you retire at 60, that means there will be 40 more years you're going to be around without anything, much to talk about. So we have no option but to keep ourselves relevant. Women who were homemakers will find their nests empty, and maybe their husbands leaving them. And with the prospect of 50 or 60 years of life ahead of them. It sounds almost like a prophecy of doom. But this is the result of global development and increased life expectancy. Will this advancement prove to be a curse? No, not if we have learned the basics which are applicable across all fields. It will fill us with a new enthusiasm and a willingness to see what new adventures life has to offer. I mean, I don't know if you see it, but I know women who are now 50, or 50, 53, 54. The child has grown up, left. And her husband says, okay, I'm off. Why are you off? The child has gone because they have to go abroad and study, but why are you going? I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. I found someone else. What do you say to that? You cry, you sob, you weep. And then you have to live life, right? For as is, where is. You can't hold another person who doesn't want to be there. So, all sorts of things, all sorts of challenges, all sorts of changes that don't. It may not be that your spouse left you like that. Nowadays, you hear people in their 50s. I know a lady, 52 years old, she went down to the gym. She came back, she was making a cup of tea, and her husband heard something fall, and he went there, and she was on the floor. She was dead at 52 and fit because she just come back from the gym. She used to gym all the time. What change, when, how, where, who knows? We have to be prepared to deal with whatever life offers. For that, we need to be able to develop our wisdom. So, that's it for today.